Better Show Them Why You Talk So Loud by A. Aline. A Batman All Media Types fanfic, rated for seen and up audiences, with additional tags for developing friendships, case fic, or like the start of one, beginning of a case fic. God, what other tags even go here? There's silly stuff. Jason soul-searching / bonding, putting some goddamn respect on Stephanie Brown's name. Summary. She only raises an eyebrow. Having a good night? No, Jason says, gritting his teeth. No, I'm not. Do you want to take a guess as to why? Steph says, tapping her fingers underneath her chin. Well, you got to beat the shit out of a bunch of assholes, so I can't possibly imagine. I wasn't here to beat the shit out of a bunch of assholes. Jason snaps. I was here to stake them out, and get more info about the kind of shit their gang is out here selling. I needed them to be chatting among themselves, so I could figure out where they're based, and then beat the shit out of them. Steph looks around at the carnage. Ah. Yeah. Jason puts his hands on his hips. Brown, what the hell are you doing here? Dude, Steph says. You look like my mom when you do that. Jason takes his hands off his hips. Fuck you. Or, Jason is not about to become friends with Stephanie Brown. Except for how he is. Believe it or not, Jason has seen a therapist. It was a few free telehealth sessions on a semi-dare from Roy, and Jason ended up lying about nearly every aspect of his life, but still, close enough for government work. Unsurprisingly, the rampant lies had made the sessions thoroughly unproductive, which had been a great reason to call it quits after 2 phone calls. Self-infliction aside, but there had been a singular helpful note the therapist had given him. First, not really call me Bob, had said, identify the immediate physical problem. Okay, awesome. Jason's immediate problem is that he's being punched in the face. Now, what does the problem represent? Call Me Bob continued. What larger role, if any, does it play within your life? This can get a little philosophical, Jason's learned, which is tricky to reckon with when you're, say, getting punched in the face. Getting punched in the face represents Jason's larger, never-ending crusade to excise the rot at its root. Represents the bone-deep need to end the bloodshed before it starts. Represents Jason's ability to take a hit and come back swinging, which he does, right into the poor fucker's cheekbone. He skipped ahead a bit. Solving the problem comes all the way at step 4 or 5. It's hard to keep track in the moment. Step 3, according to Call Me Bob, who is probably a real licensed therapist, boils down to this. Identify the source of the problem. Easy. The source of Jason's problem is Stephanie fucking Brown. Also known as Spoiler. Also known as Robin that one time. And Batgirl that other time. She's dabbled in a few different identities over the years. But Jason can't say he's dived into the specifics. The main thing he knows about Steph is that she's a pain in the ass. Literally. She had flung herself into Jason's perfectly peaceful stakeout by swinging herself into a goon's ass, and likely shattering his tailbone. And then Jason had to abandon said stakeout to keep her from getting shot to bits. Out of the goodness of his goddamn heart. Which introduces a whole host of other problems he'll have to unpack. Such as, where does he get the information he was planning on getting from the stakeout? How does he get Stephanie Brown to butt the fuck out? Was Call Me Bob ever a real therapist to begin with? Ah, damn it. He's getting punched in the face again. He manages to roll with it, swinging back around, to dive an elbow right into the bend of the guy's arm. Hard enough to, yes, there it is, a satisfying crack of bones, and the strangled scream that accompanies a compound fracture. Jason grabs him by the back of the head as his knees buckle, driving his own knee up into the guy's nasal cavity. The screams cut out sharply. Jason drops him onto the damp, shining concrete. He's not dead. Probably. But he'll have a hell of a headache later. Sweet dreams, asshole. There had been 4 guys to begin with. Steph had taken one of them out as part of her dramatic entrance. Jason had taken out a second, with a long-distance shot to the kneecaps. And the third is twitching on the ground at his feet. The fourth is currently blocking Steph's punch, swinging back with a punch of his own that Steph only just barely dodges. The fist brushes against the edge of her hood. It's a close fight. Jason should just let them duke it out, and then deal with whoever's left. He certainly doesn't have to expend the effort. Steph gets a lucky elbow into his ribs, but the other guy cuffs a fist against the back of her head, hard enough that Jason hears the smack through the distance and the rain. She stumbles, not much but enough, and Steph catches the sharp glint of victory in the goon's face. Jason sighs, long and heavy through the modulator. And then he lifts the pistol and shoots the guy through the shoulder. He cries out, and Steph immediately takes the opportunity to drive her knee up into his balls. Ouch. "Take that, you fucking..." she's muttering, twisting his arm behind his back as she shoves him down onto the ground to join the others. "Spoiler," Jason shouts, stalking closer. Steph looks up from the guy, who's now whimpering over his definitely dislocated shoulder. "Hood," she says. Hey!" Jason comes to a stop right in front of her. She's tall, but he's taller. He looms over her, lets his shoulders hunch, so he looks even bigger, so she fucks all the way off. She only raises an eyebrow. "Having a good night?" "No," Jason says, gritting his teeth. "No, I'm not having a good night. Do you want to take any guesses as to why?" Steph says, tapping a finger underneath her chin. "Well, you got to beat the shit out of a bunch of assholes, so I can't possibly imagine." "I wasn't here to beat the shit out of a bunch of assholes," Jason snaps. "I was here to stake them out, to get more info about the kind of shit their gang is out here selling. I needed them to be chatting amongst themselves, so I could figure out where they're based, and then beat the shit out of them." She looks around the carnage. "Ah. Yeah." Jason puts his hands on his hips. "Brown, what the hell are you doing here?" "Dude," Steph says, "you look like my mom when you do that." Jason takes his hands off his hips. "Fuck you." "And I'm here," Steph starts, "because these guys were running psychoactive drugs too." He doesn't care to hear it, cutting her off with, "This is my territory. I told you guys 1,000,000 times." "Okay, first of all," Steph interrupts, heated. "Who the hell told you to lump me in with them?" Jason scoffs. "And second of all..." She bursts into laughter, suddenly, and startling enough that Jason's shoulders hunch up like he's flinching. It's full-on, bent double, laughing, sourced straight from her gut. It rings out and echoes into the rain. It stops suddenly when she strains back up and says, "It's not your territory. Nobody owns this fucking city. Who do you think you are, Bruce?" "Don't you even try it," Jason says. Steph only shrugs. It takes a second for Jason to work through the befuddlement at her rapid-fire changes in tone. She goes from furious to light in 2 seconds flat. "Listen, I do what I need to in order to take care of people. No matter what it takes. Do you understand what I'm saying?" "You're the edgy one, we know," Steph drawls, tilting her head back until the purple hood catches over her curls. "Shoot, shoot, bang, bang, I'm the Red Hood, and I'm special because I kill people." She says it so blasé. It takes Jason an awkward, too obvious second to come back with, "Damn straight. You want to be involved in that?" It comes out like a threat, and in some ways it is. Really, it's more of a warning. This is what he is now. This is what he does. If you can't handle it, well, there's the fucking door. But Steph only tips her head to one side, one pale eyebrow scrunching up as she squints at him. Jason resists the urge to fidget, stands his ground. He isn't going to be cowed by spoiler of all people. "What's your plan here?" Steph asks. For once, she isn't quipping. Surprisingly straightforward. Like, if you had gotten that information. "If you hadn't fucked it all up, you mean," Jason says flatly. Her intake of breath is sharp, barely there. "Sure," she says, finally. "That. What were you even doing?" Jason opens his mouth defensively, but she's still going. "Once you got that information you needed, you were just going to, what? Blow up the pincer's base? Burn all the drug depots? Well, I didn't get to that point, did I? Jason says, and then, belatedly, the pincers. It's what they're called. Steph says, huh, so she did do the barest research before she made everything exponentially more complicated for him. From furious to light to considering, thoughtful. She projects herself so loudly, but Jason spent the entirety of this brief, tense interaction caught off guard by her. You were just gonna take down the entire gang? Jason shrugs. Par for the course. Happens. On your own? Steph finishes. And this does make Jason pause. There's something about the way she says it. Hesitant, almost delicate, which doesn't match up with anything Jason's seen from Stephanie Brown so far. It's one of those questions within a question. Not exactly the kind of social nuance Jason's had a great track record with. Maybe, he says defensively. He doesn't do questions within questions, or whatever. So he says it outright. What's it to you? Steph takes a deep breath. Well, she starts, carefully. It would be easier if we worked together. Jason lets out one pointed shout of laughter before he says, no. Come on, Steph cajoles. Absolutely not. Jason counters. Many hands make light work. Steph says, like she's quoting someone. Now you're acting like a mom. Jason says, I said no. No way. No way in hell. There are sirens ringing out in the distance, which is a great reason to get the fuck out of there. First come the police, and that's bad enough on its own. But along with the police come paramedics. Paramedics tend to not like him. Paramedics tend to shout obscenities in shrill, Jersey voices that somehow carry all the way up whatever fire escape Jason is scaling to try and get away. Jason tends to avoid them in turn. He's had a long enough day already, and he doesn't need to spend any more time being called, quote, an absolute bitch-ass motherfucker. No, Jason says to Steph again, for good measure. Bye. He turns on his heel to leave. Behind him, Steph makes a frustrated, guttural sound. Seriously? She snaps out. Jason didn't bother to turn back. That's it? It would make things so much easier for both of us if we just helped each other. At this, Jason pivots back. I don't need your help, he says, each word sharp and precise. I don't want your help. Get a different hobby and quit wasting my time. Steph flinches back, shoulders tightening. Like he's raised a fist to swing. This isn't about you, she spits out. There are people who need help, and I'm not letting them fall to the wayside because your fucking ego. My ego? Jason snaps right back. He jabs a finger towards her face. That's rich coming from one of you. Jason slaps his hand away. I already told you not to lump me in with them. Forget about them. Yeah, right, Jason says, through the sudden sour tang on his tongue. As if that's ever how it's worked. Her jaw tightens underneath her hood. Fine then, she says. Do it on your own. See if I care. That's what I've been saying. Jason tells her, but then she turns and tries to leave again. She still fucking follows him. Christ alive, Stephanie. There are only so many ways to get out of here, Jesus, Steph says. It's not all about you. Jason rolls his eyes, and then, so she gets the message, he rolls his whole head. Thanks for letting me know. What would we do without you? Be bored, Steph says. God, I wish. Jason says. He gives her a middle finger for good measure, as he lines up his grapple line, so he can take off and get the fuck away from this terrible, terrible moment. Stay out of my shit. I won't ask nicely next time. Alright, Steph says, surprisingly even. Dismissive, almost. Good work talking to Rollins. Jason stops, with his arm goofily outstretched, grappling gun poised, and ready to fire. Who? Steph's eyes scrunch up, like she's smirking at him. Spoiler. Brown. Steph. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, gee, she says sweetly. Wish I could tell you, But I'm staying out of your shit. Respecting your wishes. I'm very gracious like that. Stephanie. Jason presses. Too late. She's firing her own grapple ahead of him, pulling up and off into the night. She's quick about it, too, even in the dark and the rain. Jason tracks her bright purple cape, swooshing through the air, and then she's just fucking gone. Like she's goddamn Batman or something. Shit. Jason thinks, and then out loud. Shit. His info sources are unconscious, probably, and bleeding on the ground. His other info source just vanished into thin air, despite the neon garb, and also makes him want to tear his hair out on principle. All Jason has to go off of are a handful of words, devoid of context. Pincers, Rollins. Okay. Apparently calling it a handful was generous. He has 2. But that's fine. He was trained by the world's greatest detective, which counts for something, whether the others like it or not. He can take 2 words and turn it into the cleanest goddamn takedown the city has ever seen. And he can do it without help from Stephanie fucking Brown. He'll have to. Would it be easier with helping hands? Sure, maybe. But that's never been how this shit works, though. He does it on his own. That's all there is to it. Hey! A voice shouts from behind him. Jason groans. In the midst of his pondering, not brooding, pondering, he'd forgotten to get away from the EMS. Whoops. What are you? Oh my god, it's you! This is delivered in a flat, annoyed effect, instead of the usual knee-knocking terror, which Jason would probably find mildly amusing if he were in a better mood. As it is, he's considering shooting the guy in the kneecaps, because he doesn't even have to turn around to know. You're the guy who called me a bitch-ass motherfucker that one time, Jason says mildly. Well, I can't have been the first, the guy says. Stupid. Very stupid. Jason snorts behind his helmet as he lines up the grapple line again. Yeah, well, right back at you. Where the hell are you going? The guy asks. Leaving, Jason says, and then he does. When he lands up on the roof, he ends up glancing back, on accident, and catches the last second of the paramedic guy's pointed, rude gesture towards the sky. Man, Jason says to the rooftop AC. He's lucky no one's shaken him yet. Anyway, bigger fish to fry. Gang to take down. Stephanie Brown to avoid. Should be easy. He's the fucking Red Hood. And this is just the latest case. Solve the case, save the city, go home, and stare at the ceiling and contemplate all of the ways in which you'll never measure up. Call Me Bob would probably call these unhealthy behavior spirals, but what are the odds he was a real therapist anyway? Pretty fucking slim. Okay, Jason says. Now who the fuck is Rollins? Turns out there are approximately 1 billion Rollins in Gotham City. Jason looks it up in Barbara's freaky, living, breathing invasion of privacy database and immediately has to get up and grab a cup of black, sticky, grimy sludge before he can even think of narrowing it down. First of all, this is a downtown problem. So, eliminate all the Rollins who live uptown or in Bristol. That takes out a handy number, but there are still far too many to wade through. Next, Steph had seemed to imply that Rollins was someone higher up in the Prancer, or whatever it is they call themselves, hierarchy, but likely still has an intermediary, someone with too little power to be noticed, but enough information to be useful, so someone who's pulling in money, but not too much money, probably on the newer side of rich, if he's still green enough for Steph to suss him out this easily. A few more filters, and bam! There they go. Doug Rollins. Another schmuck from the alley, with a history of petty crime and enforcement, who recently bought a mid-tier Lambo. Is Jason good at this or what? Jason takes a 30-minute crash into a safe house mattress before he gets up and at it again. Doug Rollins isn't going to sit around forever. According to Stephanie fucking Brown, he's got information. And Jason will be damned if he lets Stephanie fucking Brown, of all people, get to something before he does. This is his corner of the city. He's made that extraordinarily clear. And when he gets what he needs for this guy, and kills him right after, then, well, hopefully it gets clearer. Doug Rollins just moved up into a relatively nice apartment on the north side of the Bowery. Pretty humble, minus the sports car. The day after Jason gets into a slap fight with Spoiler, he slides through the window of Doug's 6th floor apartment to find his corpse already cooling on the tile. Ah, shit, Jason mutters. There's a hole in his head. A fly rests placidly on his exposed, engorged tongue. Jason makes a face behind the helmet, and then he gets to work. Observation, analysis. Doug's fucking dead. May the bastard rest in pieces. But that doesn't mean Jason can't learn anything from him. Starting with, who killed him? Someone with a pistol and a penchant for simplicity. The killing wound is a single shot to the head. No frills. That's the kind of straightforward thinking that gets you to the upper echelons of an up-and-coming gang. Now, as for the why, presumably some pincer bullshit. Presumably, this shit is bigger than Doug and Jason thought. If they're already killing people to keep secrets. Jason slides from the windowsill and into the apartment. There's paper scattered everywhere. Furniture upended. Either Doug was a complete disaster, unlikely given the careful dry cleaning on his now bloodied suit, or whoever killed him ransacked the apartment. Jason's leaning towards the latter. They had shit they were trying to cover. Of course they made a mess on their way out. Jason stalks over to the desk, picks up handfuls of discarded paper, haphazardly. Bills and receipts for Scorpion Ship & Co. Scorpions, pincers. If Jason had to guess, and he does, this is the legitimate cover for the gang at large. There are plenty of invoices on the desk, plenty of deals for this guy to get his grubby little fingers in. No wonder Steph had pointed him out as a source of info. No wonder the gang had decided to take care of him. Before Jason can move further into the apartment, a flash of purple on the desk catches his eye. With a terrible feeling of foreboding, he shifts the paper out of the way to reveal a photo of Spoiler, aka one Stephanie Brown, grainy in the shadows of some security camera still. Jason sighs. Just can't stay out of it, can you? Like he can fucking talk. Pulling the photo out reveals another photo sitting beneath it. It's as blurry as Steph's, but the scarlet glint of his own helmet is clear. They're onto him too. And, judging by the hole in Doug Rollins' head, they're not looking to have a casual conversation. Underneath the photo is an inconspicuous, crumbled piece of notebook paper. Jason smooths it out, squinting at the uneven handwriting. It's a list of names. And next to the names, numbers. 9, 15, 10, 13, 8. Jason was trained by the world's greatest detective. He can put the fucking pieces together. Kids. These are kids, with names and a should-be shining future ahead of them. And these pincers have somehow dragged them into a mess that already has one guy dead. Dealing or taking, Jason doesn't know, and it doesn't matter. He's gripping at the list so tight it tears at the flimsy paper, and he has to force his fist to relax. It doesn't help anyone. Nobody needs him to performatively tear a paper. They need him to take out whoever the fuck made this happen, and make sure it doesn't happen to anyone again. End of story. Carefully, Jason tucks the list into his pocket. He's still got the photos of him and Steph in the other hand. So they're coming after him. So what? He'll give just as good as he gets. He doesn't know what Steph is prepared to handle, and while it's one thing to bitch at her and chase her away from cases with a metaphorical broomstick, it's another thing to leave her in the dark about a deadly gang gunning for her head. He'll have to seek her out. Again. He's got a headache just thinking about it. Steph's voice flashes through his head. Unbidden. Could be easier if we worked together. He shakes his head instinctively. Even though there's no one around to see. Nope, not happening. Jason keeps to himself, and does not get involved with bad bullshit. Steph's voice again. I already told you not to lump me in with them. Yeah, okay, so she says she's not with them. But Jason's learned the hard way that people say things they don't mean every goddamn day. Best not to risk it. But the list hangs heavy in Jason's pocket. There are kids out there who need him. No matter what it takes, he'd told Steph. And he'd meant it. But if it takes working with Stephanie fucking Brown... He's jolted out by a harsh knock on the door. Hello? Hello? Mr. Rollins? A flatly accented voice on the other side of the door says. Jason lets out a quiet, self-indulgent groan. Just his fucking luck. It's not like he needed to get more investigation done or anything. I'm Percy Grant. I'm a paramedic with the GCPD. One of your neighbors called in a welfare check because... Blah, 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 blah. Jason tunes the guy out as he shoves the photo into his jacket and slips back out the window he came through. So, if you're not gonna answer, Percy Grant is saying, I'm gonna find a way to get in. Another muffled voice, something along the lines of, you will do no such thing. Jason crouches on the fire escape, still fully in view of the body. He flashes the picture. You want to tell me what you're doing with Stephanie Brown? Doug Rollins doesn't answer him. Because he is dead. Jason clicks his tongue. Figures. Up to him. Them. As frustrating as Stephanie Brown is, she doesn't need to be caught in the crosshairs of some mysterious gang. And also, as much as it's smarts to admit, he may be in over his head here. The pincers have already killed one person to keep their secrets, and they've got at least 2 more in their sights. Namely, the Purple Wonder and Jason himself. It's possible he could need her. Help. I'm coming in, Percy Grant says suddenly, which is the only warning Jason gets to bolt for the next fire escape above, before he hears the thin bolt of the door snap and the sound of someone tumbling into the living room. A beat. Percy Grant sighs. Just my fucking luck. Yeah, okay, whatever, asshole. Jason's got bigger neon purple fish to fry. He finds Steph not too long after, standing on a rooftop as those of her ilk are wont to do, with a foot perched up on the edge as she peers down at the street below. It's a pretty heady drop, but she doesn't seem to be thinking about it at all. Before Jason can even find some dipshit way of announcing his present, scare her off the rooftop, and fix all of his problems in one go, she says, Heard you were looking for me. How the hell do you know that? Jason says, It's been like 3 hours. He was trying to be discreet. Steph turns back around, just so he can see her roll her eyes. You're like a 6'2" crime lord. Hood. You make noise. And you pay attention. Jason says. She certainly doesn't show it, flippant and glib as she is. But Jason would have to be stupider than normal to dismiss the awareness she has to possess deep down to notice something like that, to make it this far in this business at all. She shrugs. That's how you knew about Rollins. At least you made some kind of effort to keep it on the down low, Steph says. Anybody could have put Rollins' deal together. Anybody, she says, but she's still the first one who did. That fucker didn't care who knew what he was doing. That's what killed him, Jason says. She isn't surprised by this either. Yeah, well, that's what you get for fucking around with kids and drugs. So she figured that out too. She turns back towards the city, and when she speaks again, her voice is uncharacteristically toneless. Removed. I know I won't be losing sleep over it. Jason taps a fist against his thigh. Once. Twice. So, you don't care when bad people die, then? Steph only half turns her head. This better not be you, of all people, moralizing me about it. Obviously it's not that, dumbass. Jason snaps. I'm asking if... Steph knew about Rollins when Jason didn't. And from the remnant of Rollins' ransacked apartment, it's clear that the pincers are bigger than Jason had previously reckoned with. What if Steph has other connections that Jason doesn't? What if having her at his back means he lives to die another day? What if Jason bites down on his pride and saves someone? There's a list of kids who need him still sitting in his pocket. It makes the decision easy. But first, he's gotta know if she can take it. If she can let him do whatever needs to be done. If I take care of bad people, he says finally, her shoulders stiffen. If something or someone comes up and I have to end them before they hurt someone else, what do you do then? A car horn blares in the distance. A woman laughs down below. Steph turns around to face him. What he can see of her face is unreadable. Do you want to work together? She says. It's not about what I want, Jason tells her, because when has it ever been? It's about what needs to be done. Like, if I kill someone on this stupid fucking mission, are you gonna tattle on me to Bruce? This is the crux of it all, really. Steph tilts her head to one side. I'm not going to kill anyone, she says, slow, Testing. I don't give a shit about that, Jason says honestly. That's what I'm here for. I do it so other people don't have to. She looks at him for a long time. Jason has plenty of time to develop a deep-set regret that he ever came here at all. But all she says is, I'm not gonna tell Bruce. There are plenty of other caveats hidden there, but Jason will take it. He blows out a long, long sigh. Fine, he says. Fucking fine. Steph's shoulders lift. Her countenance brightens. Oh shit, for real? He lifts a finger at her. Ineffectual and nagging. This is a temporary thing, he tells her. We take the pincers down, and then we go our separate ways. Don't think this gives you any kind of right to come sniffing around in my business once we're done here. Steph waves him off. Why would I even want to do that? I've got enough on my plate without taking in any of your fucking drama. It's not drama, Jason says. Don't call it drama, that's minimizing. It's effective shorthand, Steph says, which doesn't even make sense. But yeah, I get what you're saying. We help each other out, and then we're done. She makes it sound so easy. With the others, there are 1 million fucking caveats and hoops that Jason has to jump through before they reach any kind of equilibrium. Steph offers exactly what she says she's offering. No more, no less. Exactly, Jason says. And then we're done. Steph bounces up on her heels once or twice, rubbing her hands together frenetically. So, she says, where do we start? Apparently, where they start is Steph's shitty downtown walk-up. Steph makes him change into civvies. I can't have the fucking Red Hood waltz into my apartment. Are you crazy? Before leading him up 9 flights of stairs, because apparently the elevator's been broken for the last 6 months. By the time they get up to the top, even Jason is a little winded, but Steph hasn't even broken a sweat. She looks back at him with a slight smug grin. You need a break, tough guy? Jason gives her the finger. Fuck off. She just snorts, half to herself, and continues meandering down the narrow hall. Jason follows after her. The other option is booking it back down the stairs and handling this stupid fucking gang on his own. But, well, he just came up those stairs and he's not keen to re-experience them. Might as well see it through. I thought you said you were off work on nights like these, someone behind him says, and Jason stiffens for 2 reasons. First and foremost, because you never let anybody at your back. Not ever. Second, because he recognizes that voice, flat and fatigued with a dull Jersey twinge, perfectly formed to cuss crime lords up fire escapes. Just can't get away from it, huh? Who's your friend? Jason catches the latter end of Steph's instinctive grimace as she puts the key into the door. Jason presumes is hers, but all she says is, This is Jason, he's from work. Jason, this is Percy, my neighbor and fellow night shift haver. Fellow Helldwella, Percy says dryly. And then he brushes past Jason and turns around the... Jason has been yelled at, this guy. Like, a handful of times, but he has never seen his face. Suddenly, it's very relevant that Jason hasn't seen his face, because he's got these sharp cheekbones coupled with wide, deep-set brown eyes, and a dark mess of hair hanging over the curve of his neck. He looks up Jason's way with a sharp, narrow look that pierces right through Jason's core, as he opens his mouth to say, Can I fucking help you? He blinks once, twice, and then instinctively scowls back. No, asshole. What the hell is your problem? Barista gave me some shitty-ass latte instead of an actual drink, Percy says, counting off on his fingers. Found a dead body, and the elevator is still fucking broken. I know, right? Steph says, gesturing with her key as she shoves her door open. Like, how long has it even been? Jason says, You put the dead body in the middle of that? Percy gives him another sideways look. I'm a night watch paramedic, he says. In Gotham. Shit happens. I'll say. Jason mutters, thinking again of, well, it can't be the first. Was it an interesting dead body, at least? She says, oblivious to the way Jason gapes at her. Percy just shrugs and makes a so-so gesture with one hand. Headshot. Probably some gang stuff. Like a 6 out of 10. You people are insane. Jason realizes. Steph gives him a withering look. Like you can talk. I'm not dignifying that with response, Jason says, showing commendable great maturity and restraint. Percy snorts as he puts his key into the lock in the door next to Steph's. Jason's hands catch on him again. He's got this strange, sardonic smile pulling out his mouth, revealing a crooked canine that flashes at them as he says, "Well, I'm crashing. If you need anything, don't ask." "Have a good morning, Perce," Steph says as she pushes open the creaking door. Jason is out in the hall for another second, which means when Percy looks over at him again, he catches it. Percy blinks at him. Jason blinks back. Then he ducks into his apartment, and Jason ducks into Steph's, and it's over. He shuts the door behind him as Steph takes off her jacket and chucks it over a pile of shoes, like a complete slob. She turns back to squint at him, tapping one knuckle underneath her chin. Jason twitches in place. "What?" he says defensively. Steph lets out a low, infuriating, sound. "What?" "Percy," Steph says, with zero elaboration. Jason scoffs and looks away, kicking one of the heels cluttering up the doorway. "He's kinda cute, yeah?" "Kinda," Jason says. Steph lifts an eyebrow. Jason gets the distinct feeling he's waltzed into some kind of trap. "I guess. I mean, whatever. Is it hot in here or what? Are we supposed to be taking down a gang?" Yeah, Steph says dismissively. He follows her further into the apartment, stepping over a pile of takeout boxes spilling out of the trash can. Steph doesn't even seem to notice, kicking it out of the way and clattering on. "I'm letting this slide for now, but trust me when I say..." She stops, mid-sentence, standing still in the middle of the entry. In the next second, Jason sees why, as he comes behind her to see Cassandra fucking Cain standing in the middle of Steph's living room. "Cass?" Steph says in a completely different tone. "Fuck," Jason mutters. Running back down countless flights of stairs is sounding more and more enticing. Cass's frame is deceptively small and lithe, but Jason knows better. This is one of the best goddamn fighters in the entire goddamn world. Not just the so-called Bat family. Not just Gotham City. The world. There's no way he gets a hit in, even on a good day. And this is not shaping up to be a good day. The only thing keeping him rooted to the spot is the kids, who need his help, and also Steph's heel, digging into his boot. Message received, Brown. Cass is quiet for a long moment, dark eyes flitting in between him and Steph. Why is he here? On top of being incredibly, insanely dangerous, Cass also seems to dislike him in particular. Why, he doesn't know, and he's not keen to stick around, find out, and risk getting completely obliterated for his troubles. "Case," Steph says. "I didn't know you were coming." Cass's piercing gaze moves back to Steph, and then stays there. "You said..." She starts, almost hesitantly. "You said I could come over whenever." "I did," Steph says quickly. "I absolutely did. You can." "Oh," Jason realizes, a beat too late. "Oh, this is like a thing." Jason's desire to leave intensifies. He clears his throat. "You know," he says, as both turn to look at him like they'd forgotten he was even in the room. "We can pick this up later." "Yes," Cass says, narrowing her eyes. "Later." Jason certainly knows when he's not wanted. Steph apparently does not, because she jabs her finger towards Cass and says, "No, cut that out." Cass's attention snaps back to Steph as her brow furrows. "What shit?" she says. "There's no shit." "You think I can't handle myself," Steph says tightly. Cass's shoulders tense up. Jason wishes the floor would open up underneath him and deliver him away from this. "Again!" "That's not it," Cass says stubbornly. Steph scoffs. "Steph, that's not it. It's..." Her eyes flick back to Jason. It's like 1,000 needles prickling under Jason's skin, stripping away at his defenses. She sees right through him. Jason knows it down to his bones. What this sees, Jason can't say, but it gives him the creeps regardless. "Jason and I are working on a case," Steph says, Her voice is completely toneless. Cass is pressing her lips together, tight. If you want to help... Jason clears his throat loudly. Steph turns back to him with a huff. Oh, like you're going to turn down Cassandra fucking Cain. Luckily, he doesn't have to turn down Cassandra fucking Cain. Cass does it for him. You don't want me to help, Cass says, looking at Jason. Come on, Steph says. I always want you. Not you, Cass says, sticking her chin out towards Jason. Him. Jason blows out a sigh and considers his response. Carefully. He's not looking to get pommeled to the ground. I just don't think it would be productive. Jason says finally. You have your lane, I have mine. I'm not interested in starting shit just to start shit. A beat. Usually. I was going to say, Steph mutters. Jason kicks at her heel with his boot. She elbows him back. Also, can I be honest? Jason continues, even though Steph's elbow is digging warningly into his side. You freak me the hell out. No offense. You make me want to cower under tables. She doesn't look offended. Actually, she looks like she's preening a bit. Yes. Okay, Steph says, cutting a hand through the air. Jason, you need to get a spine. Cass, you need to tone it down, like 2 degrees. Jason huffs. Cass, remarkably, seems to take Steph's word to heart, loosening her shoulders just slightly. She looks at Jason again and says, What are you going to do? Broad fucking question. Jason says, Get out of here, maybe go to that ramen place down on 23rd, go back home and... Not what I meant, Cass says. You know what I meant. Don't pretend. He does know what she meant. The thing is, he does know what she meant, is the thing. Curse her freaky people-reading powers. Maybe just say it next time. He says. This does not make her any happier. Jason swallows a frustrated frown and adds, I don't know if I'm going to kill anyone. I haven't decided yet. There. You happy? It's the truth, because it has to be the truth. Cass would eviscerate him otherwise. It doesn't exactly dispel any of the tension in the room. Nobody dies, Cass starts, and she sounds almost exactly like Bruce like this. So morally upright and nauseatingly righteous that Jason bristles on instinct. Nobody. Everybody dies. Jason snaps. I did. Whoever these fuckers decided to step on their way to the top did too. It's my fucking job to make sure people who deserve it. You don't decide that, Cass says, low and warning. And you do? Jason says. You decide who lives. Cass opens her mouth again, but Steph snaps. Cassandra! And she shuts it just as quickly. Jason can't help but be impressed. Steph takes a deep, bracing breath, placing her hands on her hips. Okay, she says. Let's all be adults who recreationally wear spandex about this. Mine's technically Kevlar. Jason points out. Adults? She emphasizes. She looks at Cass again, and Cass looks back like she's the only person in the fucking world. Jason wishes again that he had turned around and left as soon as he heard Steph say her name. Cass, do you trust me? Yes, Cass says instantly. Steph inhales sharply, like it somehow startled her. Okay, she says. Then trust me with this. Cass sits about with this for a long, long time, chewing compulsively on the inside of her cheek. Jason watches her warily all the while, waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for her to break every bone in his body, or however it is that she does it. If you hurt her, she says directly to Jason. If you hurt her, I will. I'm pretty sure she's still in the room, and probably doesn't appreciate you talking in the third person. Jason says. Cass's glare gets impossibly narrower. And she's been doing this for a long-ass time. Give her some credit. Steph turns back to blink at him with wide brown eyes. Jason makes an instinctive face back. It's an objective fact, that's all. Jason certainly wouldn't be the only one who apparently remembers this. Somehow he is. Fine, Cass says, finally, and then turns back towards the window without another word. Steph blows out a sigh, and finally moves past the entry into the living room. As Cass hops up onto the windowsill, it's got the air of a well-worn routine, and Jason is an interloper. Loitering around in the hall and trying not to fidget, Cass hesitates on the windowsill, turning back towards Steph, and says, each syllable deliberately paced, "Stay safe, okay?" "Yeah," Steph says, after a long, long pause. "You too, Cassie." Cass nods once, like a solemn vow, and then she vanishes. Jason breathes a huge, theatrical sigh of relief. "Christ, I thought that was it for me," he says. "I thought she was gonna smoke my ass." Steph says vaguely, standing still in the middle of the living room. It takes her another second to turn back to Jason, blinking like she's only just remembered where she was. "Oh, yeah, you would have been a goner." Jason snorts. "Your faith in me is touching." "It has nothing to do with you," Steph says. She's moving deeper into the apartment now, over a haphazard spread of dishes that Jason thinks was once a kitchen. Jason takes a few steps in after her, and then stops, awkwardly, by the edge of the couch. It's not like he makes social calls very often. What the fuck is the protocol here? "This is Cassandra fucking Cain we're talking about here," Steph continues. "She'll smoke anyone's ass." "Aw," Jason says, half-heartedly, still trying to figure out if he's supposed to sit down or what. "You guys are cute." Something clatters in the kitchen. "Jesus fucking..." Jason frowns, trying to peer past the mess. "Is that a sore spot?" "It's not!" Steph starts, emphatically coming out of the kitchen with a couple of cans. "It's not in anything! Cass is my best friend, and she's... well, come on!" He waits for her to finish. She doesn't. "Into you?" "I could point out that you were making eyes at that paramedic like 5 minutes ago. But I'll be nice," she says, with a too sweet smile. Jason's face is very hot. "You need to get your AC checked," he says. "Also, go to hell." "You first," she says, but it's too tired to be sharp. She comes and stands in front of him, holding out one of the cans. "Cheers." Jason takes it. "Bud Light?" he says. "You know how to treat your guests." She shrugs. "Figured it's been a hell of a day," she says. She raises the can, and, stupidly, Jason goes along with, and clicks the rims together. "We've got a lot of work to do." The list burns a weight in Jason's pocket. "Sure do," he says. "Are you ready for it?" "I am," Steph says, lifting her chin. And he believes her. Anyone who does what they do for as long as she has, who keeps getting shoved out and shoved right back in, anyone who can earn the trust and respect of Cassandra fucking Cain, and, God forbid, Jason fucking Todd, has to be ready for whatever the city throws at them. Jason's willing to bet that it's built into her bones. "Are you?" Jason grins. "Let's go." Notes. If you're wondering who the hell this Percy guy is, he is the OC my buddy Haven and I made up for Jason. There's nobody in the whole world who sucks more than he does. I love him more than anything. If you want to see what other kind of shenanigans him and Jason get up to, you can start here and join the rest of us on Nightwatch Purgatory. Anyway, feel free to come and shout at me on my DC Tumblr. Leave a comment or kudos if you feel so inclined. And have a great day. Channel Scout TF2. I'm so excited to listen back to this and hear the rainbow of accents I've given Percy over the course of this fic. There's a fucking siren going off.